everyone. So yesterday I went to sleep very late. I went to sleep at 1 in the morning because I was watching some documentaries and there was a lot of things I was following about what's happening in America. And it's not President Trump's fault. Like, it's not just about the tariffs. There's also the weather that's affected certain states, which has resulted in poor crops, poor wheat quality. So the farmers can't use it. They have to burn that wheat. And some places like California, they haven't had enough rain. So because of that, they're not producing the fruit and the meat that they used to send to us in Canada. And so they're basically saying that Canada is exporting, sending a lot more to America. And it's very hard for America. They've been affected by a lot of different weather incidents that have affected the farmers, which is also pushing our prices up. And when prices go up, that doesn't just affect the food industry, because wages are not going up. They can't get the workers to work on the farms, so that's impacting them as well. They're not getting the subsidies that they need for the investments so that they can pay people higher wages, so that's also affecting them. And that translates into what we pay. So a bag of skim milk is $16 for a small bag, a tiny bag. And if you think that price is going to go down, it's not going down. It's only going to keep going up. Because yesterday I went to Metro, I checked various grocery stores within my area, and there was no skim milk available. Condensed milk, evaporated milk, all of that is going up. And because they don't have the investments, they can't, the cows have to be milked. I think they were saying it's every 3 to 4 hours. They don't have the investment to do that. So it's affecting the food industry. Because of cyber attacks, certain places are not getting the basics like pastas, rice, because grocery stores only keep 3 days worth of food. So that's why I had made that video about keeping things like powdered milk. You get the potato powder that you can mash with water. That's why I made that, because you think, oh, it will never happen to us. Well, guess what? It's happening in New York. It's happening in big cities. So, and if you live in the city, you don't have a plot of land to go and grow your own food. And Canada's also been impacted. So for now, yes, we're supplying America, but Canada's had early frosts. We've had some places affected by drought. We have fires. So we are likely going to be looking after our own population first, just like all the other nations. And that supply is going to get less going to other countries. They're saying that people are depending on Canada. Our wheat products, our food is going to Europe now because of the natural disasters that have taken place. So encyclicals like Laudato Si that Pope Francis had written are not just like, oh yeah, these Catholics, there they go again. Yeah, there they go again. It's not like that. It's coming out of a wisdom that's seeing what is happening to the earth today and that care for the earth. When I go out for my walks, I'm always surprised because all the birds come right up to me, the bunnies come right up to me, and then they get a fright if they see other people, then they run away. But it's quite amazing to see, like even animals are out looking for food because they've also been affected by what's happening in the environment. So that food cost, it translates into you're going to be paying more for fuel. You're going to be paying more when you go out to an event. Like I like to go to the tennis. I don't go every year. Last year I didn't go. But you buy things when you're there if you want to support the stadium. And that cost of the food that you buy there is going to go up. The cost of the groundkeeping is going to go up. So it's not just a case of, oh yeah, there these Catholics go again, care for the environment, care for the environment. It's not like that. It's something that impacts everybody in our daily lives. And for me, I like sports, so that's why I focus on the sports. I've been tagging Kwekwe Sports Club because my cousin, she runs the club there in Zimbabwe, and she also has an interest in tennis. So that's why I tag her on my post, so that she can also learn from me and what I'm learning with my John Maxwell, and other people too. I do still tell Roger Federer and through him Merca what I'm doing, where I'm going, because that's the only way I can keep in touch with him. Otherwise people hack my chats and then I can't talk to him. And by the time I post a letter or a card from here, who knows if he even got it? Who knows? I don't know if he got it. So that's why I'm tagging all the people, because that's the only way that I can do it. And what's happening to me is not just happening to me, it's happening to millions of people in Canada, with the job losses, with technology taking over jobs, with, their wages are stagnant. The minimum wage is not a living wage. They pushed it up to, I think, $17.55 an hour. That's not a living wage. You can't buy a home on that. You can't pay for your rent. You can't buy groceries. And for me, if I'm lucky and God makes me live, I have maybe another 15 years. So I want a good paid job. I don't want to continue living off nothing and being unemployed and being let go every time a company has a problem. So today's John Maxwell, it's basically focusing on Ephesians 5:2, and walk in love as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling aroma. So when we're team leaders, we cultivate attitudes of service, of being selfless, and we are generous with our team members. So for me, I trained others on the job. I had others shadow me, not only at Teleperformance, but in all the banks I worked at, in the hospitals. I had to do a training before I left. And I did the same with the One campaign. I shared my knowledge, I shared what we did. They're going in a different direction, so that's fine. But I shared with them what we did, and they built on that. So they're taking it as this is investment in Africa. And the African leaders are pushing back against the aid. They don't want it. So I think it's important to think about, when we're dealing with our partners, what do they want? I think they want knowledge sharing. I think they want to have investments that are going to create employment for people, just like Canada does. And that's going to let people have a living wage. And then we look at internal politics. So we don't worry too much about internal politics, because we're all building interdependent relationships. There are things that I know that my teammates don't know. There are things that my teammates know that I don't know. And in America, loyalty is very important. So loyalty to your team, to your firm. That loyalty sometimes means rubbing them the wrong way. It sometimes means telling them hard truths. It sometimes means telling them that their policies are not going to work and build up the company. But they value loyalty and they value team success. And many of the tennis players like Martina Navratilova, many of the athletes have all spoken out about they don't want men competing in women's sports. And I agree with them, because men are built differently. Men have a different physique, a different strength, so they want to keep women's sports separate. And that's one of the good things that President Trump has brought about. And then the last thing is that we value interdependence more than independence. In America, independence is very highly prized. So if you are doing something on your own, if you've managed to come up on your own, if you are a self-made person, they look up to you and they value you more than somebody who is dependent on others or who creates interdependencies. But you can see in our world today, if we're not interdependent, it's not possible to survive. So as much as countries would like to be self-sufficient, would like to have everything done within our own countries, when we have natural disasters, when we have fires, when we have things that take place like is happening now, if we don't get that support, we can't manage. Just like Australia send firefighters here, South Africa send firefighters here. So we look at building interdependent relationships, and if independence is taken too far, then it can harm or it can hinder others. It can stop others from being successful. And that's why in our world we have very, very rich people and we have very, very poor people. And a lot of companies have pushed back on that. So they don't want executives earning 100 million times more than the worker who's doing all the work. And some companies did bring that in here in Canada. They put a limit on how much the executives can earn compared to the frontline workers, but not all. So these are principles that John Maxwell has taken from the Bible, based on scripture, and how when we give ourselves away, then it comes back to us in different ways, or we hope. But sometimes we have what's happening now, where our environment, because the biggest polluters are not paying the highest cost, not yet. I mean, it's starting now. You see the drought in California, you see the poor crops, you see the milk going bad. It's starting now because we have to import the food. We have to import things in order to live. And even if you want to be self-sufficient, God is punishing us because, I mean, like I wrote a prayer yesterday that people would think about, you know, how they're going out in 41 degrees with no hat, no light covering clothing, no water. When I grew up, we grew up with those things naturally. Was it nice? No. But we grew up under extreme hardship. So we had to think about those things and as much as possible, plan ahead. It's not always possible to plan ahead because even in Ontario, we had flash floods the other day. We had a tornado. They say there's an average of 14 tornadoes in southwest Ontario. So who knows if we're going to be here tomorrow or not. But it doesn't mean that we don't plan, we don't keep a few extra foods, we don't do things to help ourselves. And that's how we build relationships and interdependent teams. I'm not in Zimbabwe. I don't talk to Nisha every day. But I watch what they're doing, just like I watch what Wits is doing. When there's an opportunity to jump on the calls with Wits, I jump on. If they ask me to do something, I do it. And they reach out when they need me. So that's how I build my relationships. And that's the way that I do it. And it's the same with Roger Federer. He hasn't asked me to do anything for him yet. And, you know, I built that relationship with him. Nobody helped me. None of the family members got together and said, oh yeah, you know, let's help Belinda because we know people that knows Roger or his family. Nobody helped me to do that. So I treasure that relationship because I did it on my own. I took my own risks. I posted on social media. I helped him as much as I could. I guided him, Rafa, Andy, and Novak. And if you think they didn't notice it, they did. And I know they did. But it's just unfortunate that because of stupid idiots, I can't chat to them, I can't talk to them, because there's too many hackers around that watch your posts, and then when they know, they know. As soon as you go on that chat, they come on and they hack it. So That's the world we're living in today. It's very hot here. I have my aircon on.